I know the quality is terrible, just bear with me here for a second. I love this video. Probably not many of you know this video is good.
I got your picture of me. You know I love you. I love me too.
Yes, I love this.
I was in color. Your hair is brown. Your eyes are hazel. And soft as clouds. I like to kiss you when it's nice and round.
I'm sure I know the quality is terrible, but anyway, I'll put a link to the video so you can watch it. So, you know, hey, you guys don't pay me, so I don't have to put all this beautiful quality into this video, do I? But anyway, the point is, Mt. Gox happened in Japan. And I think cryptocurrency is turning Japanese, and in that sense, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm trying to not be stereotypical, of course, but I think you're going to get the point when I go over a lot of this stuff here to show you. Mt. Gox is a perfect example of what I talk about when I'm talking about malicious short raids that are occurring. If you get a chance, cointimes.tech, you can just click my name right there, and it'll go to the list of my articles. Not hard to do. I've written quite a few, but I sort of briefly put out the history of short raids, how they work. Started almost from the very beginning to now. Gone through quite a bit, and then gave a lot of examples of how it's happening in cryptocurrency. And again, you know, if you remember, I put out a video just probably the night after the Dow hack, explaining to people what was going on. And go listen to that. It's called "What's Really Happening to Ethereum." Amazingly predictive video. The best part to me was, like, I remember telling them, well, you guys, the regulators are going to be coming out. And, you know, it was just 2 days after that where the SEC and other major groups came out and started voicing their concerns about, you know, cryptocurrency. I mean, it was just classic. You really need to watch that video. Watch all these videos because, you know, I've made some major calls here that have been pretty darn accurate, okay? And the reason why I'm doing all this is more to help the industry. You know, I could probably shut up, I guess, and just make some money off of all this. But, you know, part of me wants to see this really grow and become something. So, guys, what are malicious short raids? Well, they're coordinated attacks on a market, and they can have a variety of motives, from political, economic, you know, and just simply just pure profit, right? And guys, if you don't think this stuff happens, you know, go back and look at what the Chinese government thinks happens to them after they've investigated it. You know, they are feeling like a lot of the attacks that occurred when they had those major drops here earlier this year were malicious short, right? The SEC talked about a lot of that during the 2008 financial crisis. It's a lot of stuff that if you go research, you'll find out there's a really interesting common pattern here. And, oh, yeah, sure, this stuff doesn't happen, right? Let's go. Let's find it. Let's go look at a pretty little chart. Yeah, something that happened this week. Look at that. That's the British pound, right? Okay, but wait a minute. They're saying, oh, it probably was a flash crash. It was algorithmic trading, whatever, okay? Maybe it was panic, who knows? But in case a lot of you may not have known this, but I know this, I remember this. when they had, just before they were having the election for Brexit, right? They were going to have the voting, and one of the leaders of the EU, won't name names, you can go Google it if you want, and simply warned Britain that he would punish them, right? And look, what do you think's happening here? Okay, this, I bet you, is a malicious short raise. And look at the pattern here: heavy drop, and then we'll range. You know, maybe the British pound will range, try to recover as much of this initial drop as it can, you know, before it just falls down further, right? It's a short raise. I'm telling you guys, it is. As sure as I'm sitting here, it's a short raise. Okay. And I suspect probably somebody's out to punish the British for their vote on Brexit. Okay. Now, you guys are going to say, "Ooh, that's a big conspiracy theory." Oh well, you know, hey, follow the money, right? So, this is Auger on Poloniex. We'll get to that later. What we need to do is let's look at let's look at this. Let's stay up. Let's go to British pound. I mean, Bitcoin. Beautiful little Bitcoin. Well, 30 minutes isn't going to work for us. We're going to need to look at the daily chart. Well, this is recent stuff. Y'all are familiar with that, but let's just scroll back a bit. I love it. Yeah, you guys don't go back and look at these things. Historical charts are amazing. Look at them. If you want to trade, then you just better have about 10,000 of these charts analyzed, just like this. Not with all that other crap you paste over it. But just look at these charts. And when you're looking at them, just don't even think about, you know, what the candles mean or what they're saying. Just look at price movements. Okay. Oh, okay, we're here. So, turning Japanese. Cryptocurrency industry is turning into Mt. Gox over and over and over and over and again. We're just getting the repeat of Mt. Gox, which was a malicious short raise. Sorry, guys, it was. All right. Now, look. This is the high, 1,200. We've never recovered from that. Never recovered from this. We're not. We should be up here by now. We're not there. Okay, and I'm going to explain some more things to you as to why it's happening. Okay, so look at this. Okay, so this is kind of a correction, right? And then sort of more, this is more Gox kind of stuff happening here. All right, and this, if you look at this, this is probably just nothing more than just a nice healthy correction otherwise, right? If you were looking at it. But the interesting part is, look, you got this dip down, and this is a little unusual here that it rallied up so high. But that was, if you look at it, was kind of a range, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about ranges. And then we go down for a little bit more, and then bang, another one, right? Another dip down. Oh, but and you know, this is the interesting thing. Bitcoin ranges more than it trends. And that's a good thing, you know, because, you know, price stability is a really helpful thing when it comes to fungibility, right? And Bitcoin, for the most part, ranges quite a bit more than it does trend. But, you know, after the Gox incident, we just had these really agonizing moves down, slow ticks down, right? And you have to be quite a smart guy to make any money in Bitcoin, especially because you can't. Well, I mean, it's hard to short. I mean, the margin requirements on Bitcoin are pretty crazy. So really, I mean, it was just a terrible thing after Gox, right? We had that initial range, just sort of like with the British pound. Like, this is an interesting shock, but it really knocks the wind out of people. I'm just telling you, these hacks just knock the wind out of people. And the let's go a little bit further. Now, you guys know all this. You've seen it all 100 times. And we're starting to kick in and get some strength back. And then we break down lower, and here we go. We know all this, right? This is the breakout headed towards the rally. We're headed towards the halvening, and then bang, beautiful rally on that halvening. Nice little correction after post halvening, of course. Why not? You know, that's the way things are. Buy the news, you know, buy the rumor, sell the news, and then look, you know, what is that? That's the bit for the exact. And then here we got the same pattern right after that. We're ranging. And look, I mean, this is a big range. I don't know what to tell you guys. You've got this unfinished business up here. If we head up here and take that out, I might get a really bearish on Bitcoin at that point. We'll see. I'm not bearish, especially long term on Bitcoin, not at all. I think a lot of these dips are going to happen fast, but I think they're going to be pretty big and pretty dramatic. But for the most part, you know, we're ranging. We'll just kind of continue to range. A lot of people are really bullish. Everywhere I go, everybody's bullish, 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 and that's always a red flag to me too. But no, I do. I see better prices, you know, coming off of this. I think we might do a little bit better up here. At least try to get some of these gaps out. But we got, you know, it's the same thing with the Dow hack, you know, from the highs. We've got these gaps up here on Ether too, from the highs that, you know, probably got to be resolved. Whether we make new highs or not in the near term, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty skeptical. I'm getting a little skeptical more and more as I look at this, because the industry just doesn't want to face facts. I've been saying this over and over again to people. I just had a discussion with this on Twitter with the guy. You know, he's on Forbes magazine. He's so smart, you know, but he doesn't know much about finance. You have to go look at that thread to see. He's a great developer. I have no doubt about it. And this is the thing that really bothers me. I mean, these computer devs, they know everything. There's nothing you can tell them. They're smarter than you about the law, about finance, about whatever. They know it, and you don't. So let's see. Let's go look at it. What a mess these guys are in. I just got finished talking with this guy, and here's the thing. You know, all these guys are Ethereum with the Ethereum project. They all think this is some sort of like ideological thing, that like it's the Bitcoiners who are after them, who are hacking them to death. This is there's nothing could be further from the truth, guys. This stuff is just all about pure profit, right? Most of the time, you know. And look at this. This is, you know, they had a nice little pretty little rally going here, and then the DDoS attacks occurred. So this is a mess, and I'll explain to you. They're not going to clean this up anytime soon. This guy is really launched. Whoever is doing it is launching an extremely coordinated attack. And my guess is he's probably found a nice little bug in parity, and that's why he's getting the whole network to run on parity. But anyway, here we are after the drop. Same old story, you know, we're range bound. But guys, this is a huge range. Okay. This chart doesn't show it as much, but there's a lot of unfinished business up in here. You know, I've looked in other charts. There's some interesting gaps showing up. So, yeah, I mean, ETH could head up and start, could rally from here and go up maybe up to, you know, 28, 27. Who knows? Maybe it goes up even higher and tries to challenge some of these highs. I'll just love it. I mean, these guys, they're so predictable. You know, they'll be up here around in these areas. They'll just be saying, "I told you so," celebrating, getting drunk. These guys are so arrogant. They drive me nuts, and they don't see what's just right in front of them. It's just mind-boggling. Okay, you think the Bitcoiners are out to get them? All right, so. Anyway, when I see this kind of stuff, it's just a money-making opportunity. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. People rush. Anybody who gets a little bit of money, there's something that's unconscious in their minds that they need to separate themselves from that money as fast as they can. They rush to lose that money. Whatever. So that's where traders are. I've done it. I do it too. I can't say I'm immune to it. But I love to I try to catch myself when I'm doing it anyway. But anyway, so here we are, guys. We got these ranges are just terrible. I mean, look at that. This kind of right here. I like to see like that these real bodies, at least some of these, maybe the shadows don't get taken out, but the real bodies of these candles, you'll see this over and over again where it'll just rally down and just like touch down and make a cute little shadow, like a little wick right here that will just, discount the real body of these kind of candles at the very least, if not go into these shadows. I mean, this ain't pretty, right? But I don't even think that's half of it. I'll be honest with you. I think that would be just the beginning. When you see this start to break down this way, a little further past this line, right here, I don't know, we could be looking at 0.01, right? I think ETH's in a bear market. I'm not sure about Bitcoin. It could be in a bear market. I'm just not sure. I'm really thinking more in a bull market, but we'll see some really amazing very quick, dramatic spikes down, okay? And then come right back up kind of thing. I've seen that over and over again, just, talking people out of it, right? And I'm not as optimistic about Lightning Network as everybody else is, but I've seen there's some other really cool things going on in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's about to like quantum leap, really, in terms of technology and capability. I really do think there's going to be some amazing things coming out of Bitcoin that will probably put Ethereum to shame. I mean, these guys can't even get out the front door, the Ethereum guys, and it just blows my mind. Everybody loves them. It's just such a setup, I'm seeing them, they're being invited to conferences, they're being considered experts, and Bitcoin, the chain that's working, right, they just ignore that like it doesn't exist. And if you get a chance, read my article. It's a little bit higher up here. This got translated into Russian and just put on a big cryptocurrency website. Nakamoto's Consensus Lessons from Doc Humes. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, guys, Ethereum has quit being a cryptocurrency when it did that fork. And I said it on day one. I really did not. I was really trying to help them. But, nobody listens. But, I was really upset that the hack had happened. Really was upset about Bitfinex, right? So, I thought, let's just do that real quick. To look at the comparisons, right? Well, why not? Let's look at Bitfinex chart. So it's not as, look at that. I mean, first of all, what was going on there? When I saw that, I was like, oh no, here it comes. And this is actually on other charts. Over here, this is the Bitfinex hack. This is Bitfinex shutting down. Like, it's just like, I don't know, it had a flash crash or something. I can't remember exactly. But I knew there was trouble right there. And I know the whole story is not out on this sucker. I'm going to tell you that right now. The whole story is not out on this sucker yet. And this was not the hack, right? This was the hack, and it was actually much worse than other exchanges. It's just that Bitfinex restarted trading at this price, right, for Bitcoin. That's what they recognize it as the price when they reopen trading. Okay. Otherwise, let's go look at bit shares. Before I do that, guys, just don't think that this and this are not related. These two are absolutely connected. And it's not the end. Okay. See, there you go. See, that's a little more like what really happened. Okay. And there's still a gap right there, and that was from the Bitfinex fee, right? So there's more going on than meets the eye, guys. More going on than meets the eye. You have to pay attention to this stuff. You're up there looking at your little technical charts, thinking that's telling you something. Ain't telling you shit. Excuse my language. All right. Think about what happened here. Why did this? What was this? What is this? What's going on when this happens? What's going on when this happens? What's going on when this happens? What context is all that in? And then go back and look at like 15,000 more charts and with nothing but a candlestick on it. And don't think about like, oh, there's a doji, or, you know, here's a hammer, or here's a wick, or whatever. Just look at the freaking chart for a minute. Forget about all that other stuff and think about what was happening when this happened. What was happening when this happened? Okay? Go back and look at those things, because then you start to see real patterns. Guys, clutter up your charts. You're driving me nuts with all that. Anyway, never mind. I get into more about the technicals versus the fundamentals, and what I break it down to. You know, I break it down into, you know, fundamentals, technicals, and statisticals. A lot of you guys think statisticals and technicals are the same. They're not. Okay. And then there's the fourth thing, which is numbers. And then numbers is really price patterns. Okay. So anyway, I've mentioned that before, and I'll try to get into it more for you guys. Okay. Stick with me. It's going to take some time. All right. So where were we? Let's go back to Ethereum. Let's do it on, well, let's go look at ETC actually. So this is one of the fun things I think, you know, about all that's coming out of this was ETC. I'm excited, and I'm mostly excited because I think there are other Bitcoiners who are looking at this seriously. They really are sensing that there's another group of folks out there that are starting to think that the real principles of cryptocurrency are kind of important. Right, and maybe pay attention a little bit about what those mean, and I talked about that a little bit before. If you go back and read this article here, classic improvement proposal that I made, talking about the importance of the Nakamoto consensus. Now, I don't call I try not to use the word blockchain. My goodness, you can't avoid it anymore, right? I try not to use that word. Because it doesn't mean anything. It's absolutely meaningless, right? So I'm trying to tell people about this word here, Nakamoto consensus, which I first read about it from Nick Szabo. Actually, you'll find out about that if you read the article I did on malicious short rates. Okay. Let's get back to charts. So ETC is looking kind of cool for me. I'm liking this. You got to remember we're looking for the correction off this rally. Now, early rallies like this on something new like this, you can expect it's not terribly wrong, or it's not a reflection on the quality of anything for it to correct. You got to remember this started rallying up. I mean, it started around like, what was it, in like 1400 ranges, right? So I wouldn't be shocked to see it go down a little bit lower. If you watch one of my videos, though, you'll remember I told you I wasn't going to start looking for bottoms overbought or oversold conditions, at least an oversold condition here. I think we're coming very close to extremely oversold with ETC right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it dips down a little bit more, and I'll just love it when all the Ethereum guys jump up and down and celebrate and yell, "I told you so," like they do every time. You know, I just know when you see that, when you see maximum "I told you so" from these guys, that you're very close to making some serious do-re mi, because this sucker's going to pump. So I've accumulated, I don't know, somewhere. I'm just slowly accumulating quietly. I'm finding good points that I think I'll see prices at least return to. So, drop a Bitcoin here, drop a Bitcoin there, drop a Bitcoin here and there. I'm not going to tell you where I did all that. But I think we're good in terms of, first of all, long term, who knows, right? This could go on for 2 or 3 years like this. But I think we're really due for a pretty interesting correction off these lows. When prices go down, they correct too. It's not just corrections off highs, right? There's corrections off lows. And I think we'll see some snapbacks here. Man, I'm optimistic about even 0.0050, to be honest with you. I look at these charts. Look at this candle here. So go back in your charts, guys. You see this beautiful little candle here, or this one, this nice pretty green one here, where you've got this short wick at the bottom and a long, beautiful wick like that. This is going to come back and at least get to the real body of that at some point. Go back and look at your charts. You'll see that over and over again. You'll see this sort of, well, hey, maybe we can go look at some other examples here for you. All right. But anyway, still encouraged about ETC. Here's what I'm not very encouraged about. Let's see, I think it's on follow. There it is. There we go. Other prediction markets. Go back and look at some of my tweets. Some poor guy, really like experienced cryptocurrency trader. I don't know names, but is talking with one of these devs, trying to get things straightened out, and he's just one of many stories I've heard. We can't do a daily chart on this, can we? We got to do, let's do 30 minutes. Well, that doesn't get to the half of the noise. Let's do 2 hours. There we go. That kind of puts it in a lump sum for you, right? Is this bottoming? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So I don't use these lines anymore, but it helps when you're doing things. Let's see if I can do this one. This color is good. Let's do this color. So there's the wave down, and then there's a correction of the wave. Okay. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's a dead cat bounce." Okay, whatever. All right. So take this one. You won't. Oh, come on now. You told me you were going to work with him. Let's try this one. Take this. Connect the 2 highs there, right? And then go straight down. Don't let those, right? Don't let those, there you go. And keep that line. So, oops, I'm trying to do this right. So this is kind of the wave down, right? You're looking at that. And then bang, and then you can also, now let's take another line here. And now we need to kind of plot sort of the same thing here. we'll look at some of the lows. Look at, so we can go this way. This is sort of like a correction point here. These are just kind of the sort of fun little things you can do to kind of get a sense with the angles of things. Kind of similar to GAN, but it's really different. Okay. So if you don't start seeing movements in this direction, like real soon, I'm not sure. These are some pretty interesting correction points, right? This is the line it seems to be tracing so far, and to me, it just looks like it's just going to go lower. But we'll see. It could pump up. Maybe it will. It's got a long ways to go. And these are the kind of things too, where when you've got these kind of lines moving up this way, kind of an oscillation sort of thing, where you start at the bottom and click the top here. You can see maybe some big pumps moving towards that. Okay. Another thing I see here is this, what I talked about here about ranges. If you guys will go back and look at ranges, right? This seems to be the range. If you guys remember belts, you remember the belts? It's a symmetrical candle. Maybe I better do this for you so you'll get it. Let's draw a new line. Cool. So this should be straight, going straight out. So it will, especially one like this, okay? You can go watch over and over and over again. It'll come back and at least discount the real body of this candle. If it helps you to draw these lines, I don't do them anymore. So, come on. I don't know how many times you have to double click on coins. So, upward movement here with this trend line, coming back to some corrections here, at least take out the real body here. So there could be some hope, but my problem is that I'm just too used to seeing these things get down a lot more, especially these kind of currencies, especially when something's under an attack like it is now. But yeah, you know, we could see some heading back up here. This could be some interesting corrective stuff that'll happen and go on here with this, if it works out. But I gotta tell you, I'm just really skeptical about, man, I mean, look at some of this stuff that's going on here, right? So, what is all this? I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to say with like the first candle that comes out, you know, the first daily candle that comes out on a new currency like this. But to me, it just seems like it's just, and especially the angle of this thing and the expected probability of this thing shooting back up to going there. If you look at that line, I'm not so sure. Okay, we'll have to see. So, but let's look at this again on the 30 minutes so I can explain this here more for you. Is it the 30-minute I do these ones? No, it wasn't. It must have been 2-hour chart. There we go. So draw yourself another trend line here. I think probably this one is, and you connect the bottom to the top, guys. A lot of you guys, you do some funny things here. Like this one is like a sort of typical trend line where you sort of connect the tops as they go down, the tops of these wicks. But this is more of an oscillator where you start at the bottom and you connect the top and then you spin that line. I think you can do this. Let's do this one more. We've got one more interesting one to look at. So take the bottom, Not activating anything here. It might not let me. Let me look this line. And we're going to do that. Oh, great. Here's another interesting one for you to draw. Connect the bottom, grab the top, extend out further like that. Okay. I don't look at these things anymore. So this is another pretty little candle up in here. This would be the top if it gets back to the top or close to the top. If we're going to rally up. So I really think what I'm pretty typical or used to is for in cryptocurrency, for this kind of belt here to be extremely oversold before it starts to pump. You know, maybe it will pump up further, but cryptocurrency, because it's not very liquid, to me it just has like two states: overbought and oversold. And that's it. Okay, so pay attention. So we'll wait and see what the next trend line looks. You know, what the next line comes up with the oscillators a little later. See what we get. When we get a nice little pump, we'll see what happens. See what that looks like before it starts to go down. So, but what you'll get used to, especially with candles like this, where you have this sort of very short, there's no wick here actually, and you got this long wick here, you'll find a wave down and then a wave up like that. And then the second wave will wave down further, sort of like a Dow theory kind of thing, right? And you'll see this over and over again. And so when you've got a belt here and you've got, what is that? We've got this belt here, and then you've got something like this that kind of confirms that it's going to kind of rally up to this real body here. All right. And you can see the trend lines here, that these are like, if you think of them like magnets, you know, just sort of pulling in this direction towards the high. You're going to want to start, if it starts drifting down this way, away from this line, you're going to have to wait for your new one to plot your next line to go from the bottom to the top to see when you're going to start to see some real movement. And I'm just not sure. I mean, it just looks like, for me, it just looks like a mess for them. For anything on Ether right now, it just seems like a mess. So I just wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I had guys who were sitting around saying, this thing's going to pump, this thing's going to pump any day. I don't know. Maybe it will. You know, maybe we'll get the big auger pump. We'll see. But so far, this is pretty, to me, pretty indicative. And it gets back to what I've been saying over and over again. Crypto, I think in general, has really lost a lot of trust. It's taken the wind out of people. And it doesn't matter, guys, if you sit around and say, hey, you know, that was Bitfinex, that wasn't Bitcoin. But here's the thing. So right now, ETH is having a short raid where the attacks are all on chain, right? And Bitcoin has had attacks, and all the attacks have been off chain, right? But that doesn't help things very much, guys. Listen to me when I say this in terms of people starting to adopt and take cryptocurrency seriously, right? That doesn't help you. You have to take a look at the whole ecosystem, and the exchanges are a part of that ecosystem. And you have to look at that and say, what can we do to keep this stuff secure, okay? And industries have to coordinate. And when Ethereum has a hack, we need to quit saying, oh, look, you know, this is Ethereum and they're just stupid. It's true, they are, and they sure act that way, but that's not the point. The point is we've got to be able to shore this stuff up as an industry, okay? Now this rep thing should have been doing a lot better. You know, it just really should have been. It's really sad that this is what's happening, okay? And Bitcoin's having, look, you know, I was just reading the other day that, you know, Bitcoin has had some of the lowest volatility in history, in its history, which is great. I love the low volatility, but I got another problem with this. Let's see. Let's go back to BitShares. And this isn't always a good indicator on these things because volumes can be fake. Okay, but what I'm not liking going into Bitcoin, let's look at the daily. Another thing, you guys spend way too much time on these 30-minute charts, 20-minute charts, and you're trying to do technicals on these things. Amazing. Okay, so this is the daily. I don't know. Let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit. I'm not liking the volumes on these things. I'm just not liking the volumes on these things. Look at the Bitfinex. Bitfinex is understandable, right? Look at that. I'm just not liking the volume. Okay, so there's a difference between volume and liquidity. And if you don't know what that difference is, go back and read the definition, okay? You can have lots of volume and still be low liquid, right? Okay, see, look here. Lots of volume, not a lot of liquidity. When you see gaps like this, and this is an example actually, you see gaps like this because, you know, Bitfinex just basically had a flash crash, right? On high volumes, okay? High volume, look at that, high volume, guys, low liquidity, all right? No liquidity, actually. Cryptocurrency is full of this. You go, right? Let's go, ETC. What is this? This is the daily on ETC. ETC, BTC on Bitfinex. Oh, let's not look at that chart. That doesn't help. But actually here, this is good. So here we go. Again, high volume, right? Look at that. Low liquidity, right? I don't know how to put it to you any other way, all right? Okay, let's look at it. Let's get off Bitfinex and go look at Poloniex of ETC. Okay, high volume on these spikes. That's great. Okay, on these spikes going up. But look at the rest of the time. The volumes are low, right? But ETC is actually pretty liquid. Even though volume's low, it's pretty liquid. You could, yeah, if you go look at actual liquidity on ETC compared to Ether, you get a different picture, which I'm finding very, very interesting to look at. So volumes don't mean a lot. A lot of volumes, especially in crypto, are fake. But especially like in Forex and a lot of the other places, you know, there's a lot of bots running around. It's fake volume. So there's a difference between liquidity. What you want to look for, not necessarily high volume, you want to be looking at cryptocurrencies that have high liquidity, okay? So I want to get back to these hacks, which I initially talked about earlier. I think we got to go look at ETH to explain this to you. No, we don't. We've got to go look at Dash. So one of the things about these malicious short raids, I mean, other cryptocurrencies have problems. Other cryptocurrencies get hacked. They've been amazing things. But these short raids, the thing is, it's sort of the price of success, right? Ethereum, it has this beautiful price of Dash too. Dash has got to be careful. I'm just not kidding you. Because first of all, it's successful. I mean, it's relatively successful. And it's, look at that price. It's a beautiful price ranges on this. Nice healthy correction. Nice range bound motion here. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look at this chart more. Not a pretty gap right here. Right, there's a pretty little gap right here. That's unfinished business. So there's a lot of other things here that are unfinished. If I remember right, I'll have to look at that chart better and chart it out for you if you're at all interested. I'll make a comment and I'll do it for you. Wave down, wave up off of this. It's kind of interesting. But Dash needs to watch out because it's these guys aren't going after. They aren't going after. Let's see if I can find one for you. Here's one that comes to mind. Let's see, down a little further. I don't know. They're not going after these little things. It wouldn't pay to go after them, right? What's another one that's not here? Litecoin is another one that could be, but not at these ranges, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. And that's the thing about ETC. They're saying, well, why didn't they hit ETC? Well, not at this price. It's not gonna. They're not going to do that. They're going to do it on these kind of guys. One of the first things, if you're going to short, you're going to have some room to short on. XRP. This is another one that really is an example of what I'm talking about. What's the chart on XRP? It's on. I'm looking at XRP. XRP, God, what a mess. I made money off of this XRP. There we go. XMR, XRP, BTC. So yeah, I made a little bit of money off of that one. Yeah, so there was that first pump. This was looking good. You know, I mean, you had to look at that, and then you had to see the news. And the thing was that my problem with this was for the news that it was. I mean, it really. I don't know. I mean, look at the wick on that sucker. I call those shadows. It's shadows instead of wicks because that just explains because everything goes on in the shadows. Most people look at what's the real bodies, and that's why they're always misled. You know, if they're not, maybe they don't look at candlesticks, but whatever indicators or charts they're using tell them more about what happened in the real body. Doesn't really tell them about what happened in the shadows. I always like to look at what's going on in the shadows, right? I like to know what the heck that was all about. Okay, wasn't that something, right? Was that before the news? No, it wasn't. The news came out later. I mean, look at that. I like to know what happened here. What the heck's going on here, right? Interesting, all this stuff going up to this. Where is XRP heading? Well, I don't know. It's going up there. The problem is there's so many of these darn coins. It's just that whole thing of what I'm talking about with the Nakamoto consensus and just keeping a limit on these coins, guys. Because look, you have economic supply demand models like the dollar. They're always printing dollars, right? And you always want dollars, so they can always print more dollars because nobody's giving up on wanting more dollars. Everybody wants more dollars, right? That's kind of like real world, real economy kind of stuff where supply demand models aren't what you think they are, right? So you can have high supply, high demand. It's just the reality. There's a lot of stuff out there where there's a lot of dollars, for instance, there's a lot of yen, but also a lot of people want those yen. A lot of people. So you can have high supply, high demand, and that's okay. But in cryptocurrency, the problem is that you can always double spin, triple spin, quadruple spin. You can always cut and paste. you can always replicate to infinity, right? If you don't put a real limit on these things, an imaginable limit, I mean, you just can't imagine under the Satoshi system of a cryptocurrency how many coins, because there's like billions of these suckers, right, out there. So how many in the Satoshi system, how many are there? It's just trillions. So I don't know what to tell you guys. That's probably why these pumps aren't as strong as you think. It really interests me how like the so-called pump on this news didn't do much. So XRP, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't need to worry, right? It's really hard. It's secure in the sense that it has so many freaking coins. I mean, I don't think that's security. I just don't know if people are going to go after it and hack XRP right now. And when XRP starts to drift up a little bit more, and there's some real margin on this thing, okay? And where are we talking about? You know, when we take a couple of zeros off the front end of these Satoshis, right? Then we could start to see where these systems that are centralized and extremely insecure can get hit, okay, with these malicious short raids. So you guys pay attention to this stuff. It's out there. And they're going to go after the biggies, the successful ones, right? Because that's where the margin is to make any progress with these kind of short raids. So, guys, each is a mess. I know what to tell you. And they don't want to listen. So I'm sure they think, you know, I've been listening to stories about how, you know, these things make you stronger. It's true, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But remember that first part, what doesn't kill you? That's the kind of part that, you know, you don't really want to be in. Guys, let's be honest, right? The what doesn't kill you part. Because what doesn't kill you implies that it may have killed you. And that's the problem with this deal. What didn't kill you just might have killed you. And you're not out of it, and it may kill you. Okay? So anyway, I think we got it all covered for tonight. I'll post a link to this video. That was a good shot. Anyway, you guys, watch out for these malicious short raids and do what you can to try to convince the industry to wake the heck up. Wait. We'll talk soon.